Hey everybody, Texas Stroke here, Lance's Performance Shop alone, star of Mopars.com. It is Saturday, having a great day. If you hear background noise, it's a battery charger, my apologies. But while the battery charged, I figured why not multitask, why not film a KC tool haul. So, this stuff goes back to November. In fact, it goes back to Black Friday, or, as you may know it, one of the best times to buy from KC Tool. Now, typically tool of the day, which it's one tool every day, you're going to get a really, really good deal. There's typically quarterly promotions. Obviously, VHA's got a big deal. Vera typically has quarterly sales. That's why they have flyers all the time. Stahlwille, Knipex, Alligator, they kind of do like quarterly things. It's not necessarily all their products. It's usually a fairly large discount. You can find it on the for sale section on KC Tool. But the time to get pretty much whatever your heart desires, including some stupid good buys across multiple items. It's kind of like getting, 4 to 5 tools of the day in one day come Black Friday time, right? So there's obviously a lot of stuff that we've already brought in. We've already got it. We're using it. In some cases, I buy it again because I really like it. And in others, it's just things that were really, really tempting, interesting, or that I'd wanted. So it won't be a huge tool haul, but it's got some pretty cool stuff. So as always, if you exceed the $100 threshold, you get a German tool sticker pack. We got tons of those. And I was cleaning last time I was out here in the shop, and I must have archived the bit of thanks, but currently they're still shipping the Philo bit of thanks. And there's a small collection of a few, right? I actually have quite a few that I keep over here in a bit holder, and then I archive a bunch in the toolbox. The ones on the bench get used, obviously those are just waiting to be sorted somewhere. So anything you order, you get the bit of thanks, which again currently is a number 2 Phillips from Philo. It's actually a very nice bit aside from being stamped for Philo and KC Tool. But the German tool sticker pack, if you exceed the $100 threshold, you're home free. Small note before we keep going, granted this stuff has been waiting on me for a while. KC Tool used to do free shipping at the $35 mark. It is now the $75 mark. Basically what that means is if you were to come in and buy a pair of pliers or a wrench that you needed, you would usually be get it or be super close to getting free freight. Now it's $75. Now that said, do not panic. Their freight is still stupid cheap, especially compared to most places. And quite frankly, for years I've expected to have to spend $99 or more to get free freight, largely from dealing with car parts. So I tell you that because at $75, you're awfully close now to the German tool sticker pack, which obviously, if you've brought in quite a few items, it's not like a make or break deal, it's just something neat type of a thing. But it might, if it's not something you've got to have immediately or there isn't tool of the day, you might wait on that wrench until there's an item on tool of the day that would push you over $75 for your free shipping or $100 for your purchase, if you will. But now that that's out of the way, let's get started. And I'm sure these items here have caught your attention, and I'm going to reward you by doing something completely different than what we have around you. But don't be discouraged, don't go away. These are here for a reason. Now, as I mentioned, these were my Black Friday purchases. I'm not going to give you the price that you can get these for on Black Friday in the video. I'll have that in the description. In part, I don't want to pull the invoice up. In part, I don't want to discourage you. But if you see these, you love them, you've got to have them. These are the prices that are listed today, middle of January type of a thing, right? End of January, I should say. So this is part number 862-2 from NWS. It's a plier and cutter set. $48.49 is the current price. Black Friday, these were stupid cheap. Do I have these in some configuration in different sizes? I'm sure, absolutely sure we do. In these particular sizes, there's a very high probability that we have these exact sizes, but it was just a dumb price, like stupid good deal. And I couldn't price it up, and in fact, I may not have those side cutters. So that will work out well for us. But essentially, if you can't tell, this is a pair of combination pliers. I absolutely love NWS's design. If you've never had their handles, this was the time to get it. This is what I stressed. If you follow me on social media and you follow the videos, I've always said, even if you're sold on Knipex, or you only buy snap-on pliers, you owe it to yourself. Next time you need a specialty plier, or you just want some combination pair to throw in your glove box type of a thing, buy an NWS set, because the handles, not only do they look so incredibly unique, they're incredibly comfortable. And for a lot of you, this might have been your first time to jump in on them, and I hope that you're not disappointed. And there is a bit of a surprise in the box as well. So this means nothing to me because I don't speak the language. And same thing here, but you kind of get the idea. You'll see where it holds, and you've actually seen me do this. In fact, I have them sitting on top of the bench grinder. Because the ErgoCombis that I told you I would make a point to use, you note that they're a little dirty, right? Especially the handles. And that's because this feature here, it works perfectly to hold nuts. And of course, if it'll hold a nut, it will hold what? That's right, the head of a bolt. So this is a little undersized for this pair, but you get the idea. Essentially, I grab the head of the bolt and I put this off to the side of the wire wheel, and these are perfect. They're super, I guess, like user-friendly, given the ergonomic design of them. A lot of people call these like pistol grip pliers, but over time, I think you can kind of say, I mean, they're not pristine, and we could obviously clean them up, but that gives you an idea of what these would look like with a little wear on them. So we'll throw that down, and I'm trying to think. I honestly do not know that I've got a pair of their side cutters. So we probably do, but I don't remember it off the top of my head. They don't come out of the box, like super smooth like Knipex or anything. They do break in very quickly, and the most important thing, they just look, it's so unique. Even if you hate it, they look sci-fi to me, is what I've always said. Even if you hate this, if you hate red, if you hate gray, if you hate the design, you have to admit it's very unique. And regardless of if you hate it, if you had this in your hand, you would also have to admit it's very comfortable. So coming down, we've got this, and that's right, the surprise. It's out of the box, and it is right here. Some of you may recognize that. But let's see, is there anything I can take off of the non-English packaging? Not really. I mean, we've covered NWS plenty on the channel. So you get a lanyard. Now, if you've seen me, if you watch all the videos, we've brought in an NWS lanyard. It's one of the coolest lanyards around. I looked for it before the video, and I realized I couldn't find it in the toolbox because it's currently about, I don't know, 11 feet high or something. It's yeah. Now the good news is this, I don't think they had this right on the website. Maybe it was an older design. This is about the coolest lanyard you'll ever get. Typically, they're like, NWS, that's neat, it's my pair of pliers. Or, it might say Knipex, but this has their plier lineup. I didn't think this actually did, so now I don't feel bad about them being up in the air. I totally grab them, but I don't have the ladder out here right now. So I've highlighted this. I spent way too much time on this, I'm sure, last time around. But that's not just some random design. That's literally a lineup of some of their pliers, which is just stupid cool. And then you've got the website, you got another thing of those, and you've got the NWS logo. Not only could you totally, and I said this as well in the previous times we've looked at it, wear this for a lanyard, like with your credentials for conventions and stuff, but it's actually a really nice setup. So let's say that I'm up top on the ladder and I'm cutting stuff. We slide this in place and it just fits really, really nice. The other perk to all this, note, these are not insulated tools. This is just a very nice comfort grip handle. Every single pair of NWS pliers with this grip is going to have provisions to accept this lanyard. That's right. That's one of the big kind of underrated selling points, because you got to realize it's not just electricians that need lanyards, right? You might just be regular Joe over there hanging, I don't know, a banner up in your shop. You're up there with cable ties or picture frame wire, and if you constantly drop this every time you have to go up and down the ladder, that's a pain in the butt, right? So that lanyard will keep that from happening. Throw it around your neck, clip it around your belt, whatever you need to do. It will certainly be a nice benefit to you. Now, coming in, the side cutters are 6 1/4, which is a pretty nice length. I also like the design there. I guess that would kind of hold the wire a little bit as well. We can ream a bit from this side. It's not super aggressive, but for conduit, I'm sure it's fine if you can get it kind of to nest in there. Standalone part number for these guys, let's zoom in for you. 134, 69, 160. If you see this video and you think, man, I got to try those, I want to experience the handle, but I just need a new pair of side cutters, that's the standalone part number, and you can go pull them up on Casey Tool and go to town. But right there, again, nice detail on the sci-fi handles. And again, if you've never experienced them, they are ridiculously comfortable. These are 7-inch high leverage combination pliers. Now, a couple better selling points. This one's got a little bit better design in my opinion. It also narrows down a bit. It's got very good teeth. We can hold flats. Right there, you can come in and grab things. But on this flip side of where the cutters are located, this is what I use to hold the heads of bolts, nuts. And like I said, it just works really well in that regard. It's kind of like a better use, you know, typically with a pair of pliers. If we were to grab this, we're on the side of the road making an emergency repair, tensioning a belt or something, I don't know. You would have to use the teeth like this, and that's gonna, you know, gall up the head of the bolt, right? And it's not ideal. This, while it's also not ideal, you're not gonna totally trash your hardware, so it's pretty cool. And like I said, I love it so much. I left the ErgoCombis on the bench to make sure I would use them, and I sort of got accustomed to them over time, but now I feel like I found their dream use for me, which is the wire wheel on the bench grinder. But that is what I brought in from NWS, and we will just toss this out so we can bring in the next item. And I think what we'll do is go with the Knipex version. That's right. Now, this is currently priced at $36.53, which is honestly a pretty good deal. This is something I had wanted for a very long time. It's never really been that expensive. It's just it would be a little bit redundant, and it was kind of more for a comparison type of a thing for me. Some of you might see this and it's going to be an instant buy. It's kind of flies under the radar with everything going on with Cobras. But it is right here. It is their part number 8751-250. And that's going to tell us a couple things. It's going to be 10 inches, if you will. It's going to have the standard grip. And in this case, it is the Cobra ES. Now you're sitting there and you're thinking, okay, there's an Alligator, there's a Raptor, there's padded handles, there's 2-component handles. Well, that's the regular rubber texturized one, right? What's the deal? Well, let me get this box out of here. Well, you know what? I'll go ahead and get the plastic bag too. Set it off to the side. So, not holding the pliers like this for any particular reason at all. The camera just took a spin there on the tripod. But, again, not holding the pliers like this for any real reason, aside from just wanting to highlight the handle, right? So, there you can see Cobra 8751-250, made in Germany. We also got made in Germany there, the Knipex logo. This is their, you know, it's not their red and blue padded handle, but it's textured. Some people prefer it, some people don't. What I want to highlight, though, is what's special. The ES. What is ES all about if it's not related to the handle like a lot of you probably thought? Well, what if I told you it stood for extra slim? And I know what you're thinking. You're looking at it and you're like, it looks about like the same size as my 10-inch Cobras I've got at home. And you would be 100% correct, because the ES applies up top. Which, there you go. If you frequently use Cobras, you're going to know this is a totally different design than you're accustomed to seeing. And when I hold it like this, you can really tell a difference, right? Now, the push button mechanism, same thing you've come to know and expect. And again, as with all Knipex pliers, super smooth right out of the box. And teeth are always good on Knipex. Again, one of the things I like best about the company is just when it's their product and it rolls off of their floor, it's inspected, it's quality, it's ready to go right out of the box. Now, the extra slim, is that going to be a big deal for most people? Typically, the average person, you're just going to size down. Maybe 10-inch doesn't work, 7 would, maybe the mini Cobras do, maybe, you know, XS's fit. That's extra small in that case. But for the average situation, you know, these would be, like I said earlier, redundant. You know, I can come in and I could use my big ones or my 10-inch or whatever. And going through some of the lineup here, these are, I think, the biggest Cobras I own. And they won't be a direct comparison, obviously, but take a look at the head. There's the other kind of multi-component handle. I don't believe the ESs are available in this handle style. Don't hold me to that, though. But again, if you've got to have it, and if you've got to have their comfort grip or 2-component handle, maybe this is your chance to try something different. All right. Don't use these a ton because typically, like I said, the 10-inch is more than sufficient. So right here, this is a pair just like what we had, but as you can see, the 250, that means they are 10-inch. Now, in this case, I've outfitted this particular pair some of their jaw protectors because I was doing some interesting stuff. Sometimes I get myself in crazy predicaments. And if you were curious why they come in a pack that's got more than one pair, well, this is why. You will eventually wear these things out. They do last pretty well when you're not really misusing them, and that's kind of what I did here, and that's sort of why they've worn prematurely. This was, I think, 1 or 2 screw-ups that I was correcting in this particular case. But again, when you've got multiples of the same or similar tools, this is kind of what you can do, right? So the big 12-inch for leverage. I've got, you know, some other ones that I use for, you know, standard affair, grabbing with the teeth. These I just dedicate the soft jaws to, and it's worked out quite nicely for me. Now, coming in, this is kind of a special one. It's got a red eye on the button, and if you're thinking, okay, it's slim too, right? No, it's actually not. But what is special about it is it's the QuickSet. Typically, you know, you let go and the button locks. With these, and it's kind of an art form, you got to really get used to them, but you can kind of manually adjust until you get to the spot that you want. But all intents and purposes, they're the same as what I've shown you with a different handle style and the QuickSet feature. Oddly enough, if we're talking like water pump pliers, what's my most used pair of Knipex? It would be the Alligators. And, I can't really tell you why. I'm a guy that kind of grew up with channel locks, and obviously this is not a channel lock style mechanism. It's similar to it. I love the Cobras. The mini Cobras actually probably get used the most. Not the XS, but the 5-inch minis. But these guys right here, there is a reason. I'm not sure if you can tell. They're actually way dirtier than they look. But there's a reason for that, and that's because, like I said, I use these the most. But same concept as the Cobra, it's just sort of the old school throwback style, which, like I said, I kind of like them for some reason, and I do tend to use them the most. The perk with those, if you do anything nasty, you know, like maybe you do septic systems, or, you know, you have to run trenches, those are really good to have in the dirt, in the mud, in the water table. Just because you don't have to worry about a spring mechanism, right? Now these, where they're going to come in handy is if I get in a situation where I'm wanting to use my Cobras and I can't because of the head not fitting. These, they actually look very, very similar in terms of initial eye inspection. We can mic these. In fact, maybe we'll have to make a standalone video on this. If you want me to do that, let me know. But I think where they're talking extra slim would come into play, not sliding through and grabbing there, but going all the way back. I kind of think is what they were going for, because honestly, initial inspection, these are not that much thinner. But it's a situation where you wouldn't necessarily want that because you still need the teeth to be able to grab, right? But I think it's just that we could get a little bit deeper back before we have, you know, the rise. You can kind of see that slightly different. And then it may be just very, very marginally thinner. We shall see. Now that is against the QuickSets. Let's... Case in point, you know, you're probably not like me in multiples of the same thing. Maybe you've got like the giant pair, the 5 inches, and you need something in the middle. Well, when you compare the 12 with this, you can see a very marked difference there. I should have grabbed some of the 7-inch ones. and kind of stacked them up in that manner. But this is the Cobra ES, and again, that's kind of the selling point, is just the different jaw design, which is, you know, sort of more of a triangular shape as opposed to what you see here. And again, that would allow you to have significantly better access. Keep in mind, these are 300 millimeters, while these are 250. But you get the rough idea of the product. So, like I said, always wanted those. Couldn't really ever justify it. I was waiting for tool of the day. Came up on Black Friday. Not going to pass it up. Now, the next thing right here, check what my watch was doing there, is from Stahlwille. That's why these ratchets are hanging out over here. Now, my first ever Stahlwille ratchet was this little guy, and it's what sold me on Stahlwille ratchets. I believe my next one, which was probably tool of the day, is this little 3/8 one right here. As a birthday present from myself last year, I picked up this locking flex head one, which has been fantastic. It's my only locking flex head as well, but very nice. I'm happy with the way it locks. And then if you did not know, obviously in terms of Stahlwille's ratchets, I would prefer, you know, the comfort grip, especially the quarter. It's always bad. You know, some people love it. You need it for the tight spaces. For me, it's just awkward. It's smaller. I like the pad. I have this padded. It's sitting in the truck. It came in there, I guess, 2020 advent calendar, right? Which I got super cheap. I think those are still available. I don't know how. I thought some of you would have cashed in on those, but it's a quarter drive socket set with a padded version of this ratchet, which is their top of the line. Now, since that point in time, I never really planned on bringing in a ton of ratchets. It just sort of happened because of good deals that I couldn't pass up, which is how this all ties in. But we have essentially completed the Stahlwille lineup here. We kind of did the same thing with Hazette. I saw that in KC Tool Hall 50. If you missed that one, check it out, because there's a whole lot of Hazette in there. But this was just a stupid goodbye. I pulled up the price for you, and I've got to say, it is currently, in my opinion, actually a pretty good deal too. So the part number there, 50/4/1QR. You could also use 91336410. Got the Stahlwille branding. You can see made in Germany. Yeah. If you missed this on Black Friday, you are probably kicking yourself. Most of you have Cobras, most of you have NWS Pliers or something you're content with. This was a pretty solid buy. Now, currently it's $104, which I think is actually still pretty good, considering this is a 1/2-inch drive ratchet. It's their top of the line. You got your padded handle, you got your quick release. It's the cream of the crop in terms of Stahlwille ratchets, right? And the other selling point, now, some of you this would be awesome. For some of you, it's not as awesome. Obviously, I would prefer, you know, fractional sockets, the old school stuff. They are metric, but you're talking 4 Stahlwille sockets. Why can I not open this? Oh, come on. 4 Stahlwille sockets. They're not exactly cheap. You know, those are typically, geez, you know, probably 10 to 15 a socket if you're getting a good buy, maybe even more than that. And if you're thinking, well, hey, have you ever even used Stahlwille sockets, or are you just hyping them up? Well, I have. Again, it goes back to the quarter drive socket set, which was such a good deal. And they're really, really nice sockets. Obviously, you've got 12-point here. Sadly, they typically use AF, I guess like American form factor. I don't know that they even offer 6-point sockets for us, but 12-point does have its advantages in my opinion. Now, these are a absolute thing of beauty in my opinion. It's not going to be Americana chrome polish like you're used to, but it's not that bad. It's kind of a matte finish. I absolutely love it. Of course, as you might know by this point in time, if you're a veteran viewer of the channel, I also love knurling on sockets. It's something, if you have to spin things by hand, it's there. If you throw it on a spinner handle, you've got something to grab onto. Something else a lot of companies are doing that sort of ticks me off. Laser etching is really cool, but it also really comes off over time. So if they had a big 19, because this is a 19mm socket, that's awesome, but once it goes through a few control arms, or, you know, handles a ball joint, or gets scuffed and, you know, rolls across the floor a few times, that's gone. I don't know that it's 19 millimeter anymore. All right. This is stamped. Now, in my opinion, the best way to do things, you would stamp and you would have something big, bold, easy to read type of a thing. Then you've got the best of both worlds. You appease everybody. But look at that branding. You got Stahlwille, you got Germany. And again, good look. This is a very high quality socket. So if you're thinking about anything German, you know, they try to keep things simple, try to be efficient. So you might guess it. You got a 19. What's coming up next? Well, it's, you should know, a 17. And then, any guesses? Anyone? What are we going to have? That's right, 13. And then, what is that one? Well, kind of an odd size for a half-inch drive. But, as we spin her around, let's just actually make it right side up for you. It's a 10. So 10, 13, 17, and 19. Those are your 4 most common sizes, I guess, at least in Germany. Because again, try to simplify things. If you ever see the Vera sets, and it's like a 4-piece set of jokers, and you're thinking like, 10, 13, 17, 19, why? You know, unless you deal, if you're in the country, it makes a ton of sense. If you deal with their products, you know, maybe you're a technician or something, it's primarily you're going to see 10, 13, 17, and 19, right? Like on my truck, we've got metric and SAE, and it's a hodgepodge of stuff. Going back to the old cars, we've got like the whole litany of sizes. If I want to go from like quarter to inch and an eighth, I pretty much can. For the most part, as many fasteners and connections as you can use with those 4 sizes, that's what is done, right? So 10, 13, 17, and 19. The key there, if you're trying to build out a set, if this was your starting point, and maybe you work on Japanese vehicles, or you're a Subaru junkie, or you do go-karts or something along those lines, and you need a 15, you know, or you need something in the middle, that's your starting point. Just fill your set out from there. And again, if you were to just come in right now on KC Tool and want to buy a 19 millimeter Stahlwille socket because you're sick of the junk ones that you buy and they wear out all the time, top of my head, I would say you're probably spending 10 to 20 bucks on the socket alone. So factoring that in, let's just split the difference, call them all 15. That's 60 bucks. At the current price of 104, that means you're getting this for $44. Which is insane because it's the half-inch drive version of their best line of ratchets. So this is the 512 QRN. Let's see if you can actually see that there. 512 QRN from Stahlwille, made in Germany is the other font. I love their selector switch. It's streamlined, it's low profile, matte chrome finish there. These handles, you either love them or you hate them. I'm not a huge fan of them on the screwdriver. I like their 3K a little bit better. But I will say I have these on picks. I liked the picks so well, and I actually needed them at work. It's a long story, but I bought 2 of those. They have this exact same handle style. And then, of course, on the ratchets, I don't mind this at all. Again, like I said, you know, on a screwdriver, you know, I might change some things, but with a ratchet, I just want it to be padded and not cold, and like ice in my hand when I grab the ratchet, or super hot, and they accomplish that. So this guy is heavy. This is heavy duty. One of the cool things here, you can see no screws. If you're unfamiliar with Stahlwille, sort of aviation type of a thing. If you think of aviation in the way I do, you think sort of high-end, top of the line. Everything is super important. It's not like, you know, you're gonna throw off somebody's Volkswagen type of deal. If we had a screw come out of here, you know, and it fell into the engine bay of somebody's Jetta, you know, where did it go? Not sure. Is it going to cause problems? Probably not. You know, everything was closed up right. That's not really the case with aviation. That's why there's nothing here, right? Over time, innocently, a guy's working on a jet engine. He comes in, he puts all his tools away. 2 weeks later, he notices one of the screws is gone. The question then becomes, when did the screw fall out and did it go into anything? And there's a good chance it's going to cause some serious problems. So that's sort of one of the design advantages of the Stahlwille ratchets. The other thing that does, take a listen, makes it significantly quieter than a standard ratchet. That's actually the loudest Stahlwille I think I've ever heard. Case in point, luckily we've got these guys sitting here. They're usually subdued. That almost feels like a totally different gear set. I guess it's just the size. But you know how like with the knee pros, you barely hear it? That's sort of how this guy was. It was amazing. And then the quarter drive, which this is not the padded handle. Right? You kind of get the gist of it. But then coming into the flex head, super quiet. The 3/8 seem to be quieter in my opinion than the quarter drive. This guy though, that doesn't feel like the same mechanism, I've got to say. I don't know if those are just loaded with grease or lube or something, and this one's not. That's not what I was expecting, again, because I have the entire lineup. Quarter bare, quarter padded, 3/8 extended locking flex head. I would have expected this to be significantly quieter. I'm not sure how I would best describe this. I would say chippy. I don't know how that translates to your ratchet aficionados, but chippy would be a word. It doesn't feel like it's, you know, broken or like skipping or anything. I would just say chippy. I'm kind of picturing the gears, and I never dreamed that would be that loud. Very, very interesting. Not quite sure because, again, this is their cream of the crop, the green push release there. I love everything. It does seem heavier, but of course it should. But that's crazy. That's like, you know, that Vera that I brought in a long time ago from Amazon, their cheapest one, and it's got like that old school sound to it. This approaches that. I feel like this would be, take that Vera that's like 36 teeth and then cross it with one of these, which, if I'm thinking right, I want to say these are 72 teeth. I should know this. Can't believe I don't. And my catalog is away, but I don't know. You know what I think I'm going to do is make a point. Typically, I'm not going to lie, with 1/2 inch, I've used the ever-loving snot out of my Azette. The 916 HP, that's my go-to 1/2 inch ratchet. It has been since I acquired it. Didn't have a Stahlwille counterpart. I think I will put this one in heavy rotation, as much as I hate to stop using it. I do, again, the advantage versus the Azette HP is you've got a quick release, which I'm personally accustomed to using. But we will see. I don't know. I certainly didn't expect that. This is with the head on the mat. This is a thick rubber mat. I did not anticipate that. Now, since we've got it, why not go ahead and use their socket here, right? So we'll line this up. Okay, that's really, really good fitment, though. Typically, you know, throwing on other brands of sockets and stuff, you might get some play. Sometimes I found Craftsman sockets fit a surprising number of ratchets better than their own sockets do. In this case, though, that is super good, so that kind of makes up for it. But again, I was not expecting that. I'm not saying this is a bad ratchet, because obviously we'll have to use it and find out for ourselves, but was not expecting it to be that loud. So anyway, at some point in time, I guess we'll come in. We ought to, I've acquired enough stuff, we ought to just like kind of showcase it all and kind of tell you what I use more than what not. You know, we got a lot of topics essentially. But I think a lot of you probably brought in all this stuff and more. Again, what's sad for me is I've been doing this for so long now, you know, I've kind of like got the stuff, and, you know, unless it's something awesome or I want to have like doubles or backups or throw some in, take it to work, or put it in this car or that car, or, you know, I'm just lazy and don't want to walk across the shop and the price was too cheap type of thing. Hard to justify purchasing it again, so I just go with what I can. That being the ES Cobras, the extra slim, this socket set from Stahlwille, and then the 2-pack of NWS Pliers. That's all we brought in this time. Very, very good stuff. And again, down below, when I have this stuff linked, I'll have the Black Friday price in parentheses, because again, it's just cruel. If I were to come in and like tell you, oh, you can have this for $59.99, you're gonna be like, oh, let me go get that now. And then you're gonna go and you're gonna see 104 and be like, yeah. Which again, the 104 I think is actually a pretty legit price. Same thing, these NWS pair at 48 or whatever it was, that's not terrible. And then the ES is at 36. I think that's fair. Now, what I want to know from you, the thing I'm most interested in, is with these ESs, off the top of your head, and this is going to come down to probably what you do at work or what you do for fun or some terrible experience you've had that's ingrained in your mind, where would these go that a standard pair of 10-inch Cobras wouldn't go? 10 inches is used and important because, again, that's what these are. Obviously, if these were like ESs that were 7-inch or 12-inch, we'd compare differently, but what would you do with these that you can't do with the standard pair? Let me know. Now, there may be some advantages. Some of you might prefer this. Some of you, it might just literally be, well, I tighten things inside channel iron, and, you know, these don't fit, and these extend another, you know, fraction of an inch, and they do. Off the top of my head, I'm not seeing anything that these would do that a standard pair can't. But again, something you might do if you've got 12-inch Cobras and 7-inch and you want a pair of 10 and you don't have them, watch the ES, you know, make it different, see if you like it. Again, once people have the litany of products across the line, you can do stupid things like I do and have one pair that only has soft jaws, you know, and then you can use the ES as your standard go-to 10-inch, and you can have regulars that are 12, and then, you know, your 7-inch you could put, you know, some jaw on or whatever. But that's kind of the only way you can really sort of use everything, figure out what it's good for, what it's not good for, where it excels, where it struggles. And again, that's obviously the information we like to have on the channel to share with other people. So, long story short, this stuff was stupid cheap on Black Friday. Again, that's part of the reason for bringing it in. But I can't really complain about any of it. I am interested as to why this is so much louder. It's the same design, and I mean, these are fantastic. I told you the Hazette 916 is my go-to. This is honestly my go-to 3/8. The Nipros I use on the Challenger, that way I ensure I use it. Everything else, if I need 3/8, it's this. And it's been fantastic. I'll have to see. Off the top of my head, all I could think is maybe if this like wasn't lubed as much or something, because it's significantly louder. I'm not going to shoot a dB meter at it or anything right now, but like I said, we'll try to put it through its paces as soon as I can and see if there's any issues, but I was not expecting that. If you did pick any of this up, whether it was these 3 items or something else, what did you score on KC Tools Black Friday sale? Let me know, and by this point in time, especially when you see this in a few weeks, you hopefully will have gotten some seat time with the tools. You'll know if you like them, if you hate them, if you love them, if you want to get more of them. And again, that is the important information I like to see shared on the channel. But with that said, I'm going to get a drink. I'm going to run inside. Actually, the battery charger's done, so I'm going to go check that out. And then I'm going to run inside and make supper. But do hope you're having yourself a fantastic weekend. Hopefully your Saturday pans out well. And with that said, let me know what you think of this stuff, particularly if you've used it. Again, feel free to share your Black Friday hauls with everybody down in the comments section. But with that said, I will quit rambling, get this cleaned up, wrap things up here for the night, and I hope I will catch you back here next week for more from the channel. If you have not subscribed, consider doing so. If you ring the bell and jump your charger across the creek, YouTube just might notify you that we have new videos. Typically tool stuff on Saturdays, automotive content on Wednesdays. Social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, all 3. You can find us at Lone Star Mopars. With that said, have a great weekend. I'll catch you back here for more from the shop.